Okay, first and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakak Wadash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Now today, I want to get into this article because I remember watching like a YouTube video, right? And they mentioned how someone kind of referred to Netanyahu as like a child, which sparked, which instantly made me think of in scripture. But I can't find the video, so it prompted me to pull up this article about it. So we're going to read this, and grab scriptures. White House increasingly worried about Netanyahu's Mideast goals report. A U.S. official said there's growing skepticism inside the Trump administration regarding Netanyahu, noting that his policies in the Middle East are too disruptive. White House officials reportedly believe Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to be out of control and that his actions could undermine U.S. President Donald Trump's plans in the Middle East, a report said Sunday. Bibi is acting like a madman. He bombs everything all the time. This could undermine what Trump is trying to do, a White House official told Axios. Another U.S. official said there's growing skepticism inside the Trump administration regarding Netanyahu, noting that his policies in the Middle East are too disruptive. Netanyahu is sometimes like a child who just won't behave, the official added. And that's, really the point that I want to get to. That's the part that spoke out to me, but we can continue reading it. I don't think it's that long. An additional U.S. official highlighted the strike of Gaza's Holy Family Church, a Roman Catholic parish in the Gaza Strip last week. The Prime Minister's office confirmed that stray ammunition hit Gaza's Holy Family Church, which that's a load. And the IDF said that fragments from a shell fired during operational activity in the area hit the church mistakenly. Yeah, it just so happens. Or, maybe that was, judgment from the Lord. Maybe he's not lying. The Lord probably had that hit the church. White House officials say every day there is something new with Netanyahu and the region. So they sound fed up. White House officials say every day there is something new with Netanyahu and the region. The incident resulted in Trump calling Netanyahu to demand answers and explanations. Axios noted that Netanyahu's spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment. Regarding escalations in Syria, 6 U.S. officials told Axios that despite a U.S. brokered ceasefire that paused fighting in Sweden and southern Syria, the White House is significantly alarmed regarding Netanyahu and his regional policies. But going back to the main point here where it says Netanyahu is sometimes like a child who just won't behave, the official added. That brought me to think of here. So like Isaiah chapter 3 verse 4. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall roll over them. Now I know this is what dealing with, Israel and the judgment that the Lord was bringing upon them at the time. But you can apply that here because it's the same thing happened. It says, and I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall roll up over them, which is not literally meaning children or babies are going to be ruling over them, but going into the mindset of their rulers. It would be like a child. It would be lacking wisdom and the proper, mindset to actually rule over a kingdom, to where it won't bring harm to the kingdom. And from here, when it gets chapter 10 verse 1, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And it focuses on that an unwise king shall destroy his people. Now Netanyahu isn't the king, obviously, of America and the Edomites, but he is one of their rulers. And as the official said, he has a mind like a child, just bombing everything, so on and so forth, which is ultimately going to destroy his people, the Edomites, because and that's why they're being frustrated, because they know, scriptures say the least of the flock will draw them out, and that's what we're going to get. So yeah, that's why they seem so frustrated, saying, oh, he's ruining what Trump is doing, blah blah blah. So here, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 49. We start at verse 19. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitation of the strong, but I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? So it says, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitation of the strong. And who is this? This is the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? Right? So, who is a man that's like him, that can stand up to him, that can stand up to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai? And who will appoint me the time? So basically, who's going to appoint me the time to challenge me? Who's going to be that brave soul, or who's going to be that idiot, really? Because no one can challenge the Lord. And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? So again, who's going to stand up against the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, when he returns, right? But thing is, the Lord, he's going to put the spirit on Esau, and these other nations to try and fight back when he comes. But it's going to be, that fight is going to be completely one-sided. So let's go from here to Revelations chapter 16. We can start at verse 13. Armageddon, or Harmageddon. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now it says out of the mouth of the dragon, and that dragon being America, which is that ancient Roman Empire come back. And out of the mouth of the beast, NATO and the EU, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, that being that Roman Catholic Church. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, right? In which, how do they work those miracles? Through their technology, and really going into that microchip, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Lord Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Right? So it says, behold, I come as a thief. And right, and we know, that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. 1 Thessalonians 5:2. We can get that real quick. First Thessalonians chapter 5:2. The day of the Lord. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord shall cometh as a thief in the night. Right? So, but if we keep reading, we'll see that it only comes as a thief in the night for those who aren't watching. So verse 15, behold, I come as a thief. Right? This is talking about the Lord. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Which are what? This is those of us who are in this truth, who watch, who pray, prepare, doing the work of the Lord, preparing ourselves for that day when he comes, so that we be, protected, and beamed up into the chairs that we be found in that book of life. Verse 16, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, which what in Hebrew is Harmageddon, meaning valley of the of the troops, or mountain of the troops. The Harma meaning mountain, the Gad or the God, the troops, and the Wan, which makes it plural, valley of the troops or mountain of the troops. And what the Most High is doing, he's using the dragon, using the beast, using the false prophet, to gather the armies of the world over there in the valley, the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, in order to, make war against him, in order to fight him. Like we said, the Lord's going to put the spirit on them to come against him. But I want to get Joel chapter 3 verse 12, to show where it is that they will be doing that battling. Joel chapter 3 verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So that's where that huge judgment, the Lord pretty much kicked their ass. That's where that's finna go down at. Nation, there's a scripture coming to mind, something I forgot where it was. I'm trying to see. Hopefully, Lord willing, I can find it. Here, Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fears. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Right, so the Lord, he wants to gather them up in order to bring that judgment on them. He's gonna take his anger out on them. And boy, is it gonna be bad. Like the Lord, he's gonna easily and utterly defeat them. Why? Because ain't nobody can stand to the Lord. So let's get that. Job chapter 41 verse 10. None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Right? Who then is able to stand before me? Which the answer is no one. It can't nobody stand before the Lord and hope to win. At least ain't nobody doing that. Nobody in their right mind will stand before the Lord, man. And that's why scriptures also say, what is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, because he'll make you do things like stand up before him, just so he can completely destroy you, man. Let's grab that too. Hebrews 10 and 31. We can start at 10 and 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. Right, because like I just said, the Lord can make you do things just completely out of whack. Like stand up before him, that gotta be the dumbest, thing. But going back to Jeremiah chapter 49. So we just read verse 19 on to verse 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. And we know this being, the small hats, the Israelis, they gonna draw America out. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Because what? when when those nukes roll out, both current Israel, whatever going on over there, and America are going to be completely destroyed. But the difference between them is Israel will be rebuilt. It's going to be rebuilt for the Lord's true people, the true Israelites. When we dwell there, in the kingdom of heaven, it's going to have to be rebuilt, because the Lord said He's going to place us back into our land. But America, that lake of fire, that's wraps. Ain't no more of that. It's going to be like a desert. Ain't nothing. You won't even be able to tell where America began and where it ended. That's how wiped out it's going to be. It's going to be nothing, a wasteland, a desert place. Verse 21, the earth is moved at the noise of their fall, at the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. And once again, this is going into, this is going to happen when those missiles hit. Because what scriptures say, the earth is going to shake. Isaiah chapter 24, judgment on the earth. Here in verse 20, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And right, this is going to happen, when those missiles hit. The earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard. It's going to be shaking and trembling. Yeah, also, we read this, Ezekiel chapter 26, judgment of Tyre. Here, verse 18. We start at verse 17. And they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and say to thee, How art thou destroyed, that wast inhabited of seafaring men, the renowned city, which was strong in the sea, she and her inhabitants, which caused their terror to be on all that haunted. Right, and this is going into America. The other nations are saying these things about America when it gets taken down. Now shall the isles tremble in the day of thy fall. Yeah, the isles that are in the sea shall be troubled at that departure. So the isles are going to tremble. The earth is going to shake. So going back to verse 49. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall, and at their cry the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. And right, we can stop right there. But so from here, the very next chapter, go to Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 44. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the dwelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? And this is the, going into the same thing as we just read in verse 49. It's speaking on the same thing. This is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, coming back and pretty much questioning, like, who gonna stand up to me? When he comes back. But we know that he is gonna make, put that spirit on Esau, America and the other nations to come together and to fight against him. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And once again, this is speaking on the same thing, but here it says what? Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Babylon. So here it says Babylon, but in chapter 49 verse 20 it says Edom. So right there is telling you that these are the same people. It's linking the two, because America is Babylon the Great. So continuing, in his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. So instead of Taman, as it says in chapter 49 verse 20, it says the land of Chaldeans. We know the land of Chaldeans is Babylon. So once again, it's pretty much just all links back to Edomites, in America. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And, being that it's speaking on the same thing, the least of the flock, that being the small hats, Netanyahu and them, they gonna draw America out there, man. They gonna, cause it's like when, let's say, it's like when two little brothers get into a fight, right? They start fighting. Oh, I'm gonna go back and get my big brother. Oh, I'm gonna go back and get my big brother. I don't care, you go get your big brother. I got a big brother of my own. That's how it's gonna be. They come back, get their big brother or America. They go back, get their big brother or Russia. Next thing you know, all out war. But we know. Well, let me continue reading. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. Once again, the cry heard among the nations. The other nations are going to be lamenting because they're going to be seeing what's happening to Babylon or America. And the earth is moved, going into what? They're shaking, trembling when these missiles hit. But we know before World War III really kicks off, there's prophecies that have to come to pass. Like Jacob's trouble. One of the main prophecies, and that micro Seah, one of the main end time prophecies, man. Once that rolls out, man. Once that rolls out, man. Once that rolls out, dog, the Lord's return is just, just right around not even around the corner, man. You can see it walking up. You can see him walking up. So, but we know no man knows the day nor the hour. But that's why we have these prophecies to tell, when that hour is upon us, and it's soon, man. Here, Romans 13 and 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awaken out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believe. So, with that being said, well, before that, I want to say, when the Lord comes back, you're going to want to be protected in these days, man. So, if you haven't already, those of you Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, if you haven't already, repent, turn back to the Lord before it's too late. While he's, while he has his hand stretched out. So with that being said, once more, I would like to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Brachat Wadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect.